What's up everyone, welcome back to the aggressive e4 series. Last time, in the time before, we looked at c5 and all the open Sicilian variations that come after the Najdorf or the Kalashnikov or something. And today I wanted to take a look at the French defense and the Caro-Kann defense. And I thought we could just start with a game from the French defense, from Timo Lampen versus Morten Topholm. Yeah, here I actually don't recommend d4 and going into these advanced variations, because black can get a lot of active play. But I actually recommend something very weird, knight to f3, which not a lot of black players like to see and will see. Like they usually just prepare d4. Just to note, there are other gambits here, of course. For example, in this variation, one of the better gambits is knight to e2 here, which is called the Aljochin Marozzi gambit. But here, actually, after d5, you should just go e5. And after c5, now b4, which is called the wing gambit. You may know the wing gambit from Sicilian positions or something. But really, against anything that plays the pawn on c5, you could probably play a wing gambit. So here in this game, he took a3 and now knight to c6, which is, I think, the top engine line. And here you just take the pawn, bishop takes, and now you build your center with this. This is kind of the key idea of this opening, to build your center with c3 and d4, and then put the bishop here. This bishop, it really depends, and then maybe you should start a kingside attack. So here went f6, and he just went bishop to d3, saying, if you take, I'm just going to have this very good pawn who's just gaining a lot of space. And which he did, and it's very good. I mean, the engine is saying it's quite good what black is doing, but white is still plus 0.5. Like, white is maybe a bit better. Queen to e2 here, and this is the best move. Knight to h6, and now this bishop takes h6. And here, even though black is a pawn down, these pawns are weak. And if anybody is going to win this at this point, it's probably going to be white. Castles, queen e3, rook to f7, rook to e1, bishop to d7, and now queen takes h6. And now black is coming in. He's coming in with the rook, the knight, maybe the other knight if he's fast enough. Yeah, rook g7, knight b to d2, and he's just trying to transfer all of his pieces. Here he had to go back because otherwise queen could maybe have gone onto firepower like this. Queen to e3, a6, knight to f1, bishop to e8. And now, as you can see, black is consolidating at this point. He's putting all of his pieces in a very defensive spot, because if you think about it, in any endgame, black's going to be better because of these pawns here, and there's just nothing you can do about it, especially in a minor piece endgame. So, knight to g3, knight to d8, and a knight to e2. This kind of turns into a maneuvering game. Bishop c5, and now black kind of actually gains the upper hand. As you can see, if anybody's attacking anyone, it's black attacking white, because, I mean, these pieces are active. Like, this queen could get active and dangerous. Here played knight d4, and he's getting counterplay, obviously. Queen went here, and now back to h6. But at this point in this position, there's really not much to do. Knight to f7, g3, at h6, king g2, and this is bound to be a draw. But for some reason here, he sacked his rook. I have no idea why he did that. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, he just took. After queen f7, king g2, black resigned. I don't actually know what this was. Maybe he forgot that the bishop was blocked, or maybe he didn't think he would take with the king. But yeah, I mean, the ending is kind of chaotic and irrelevant. But I mean, here he played the opening quite well, and a lot of positions are going to be equal, especially if you play like him. He kind of, I mean, he was a bit better here, and he somehow let it slip away. He maybe could have played a bit more aggressively. But yeah, in total, this was an okay game by both sides. And one more thing to note here. I mean, as you can see in this opening, you gave up both of your queenside pawns here, A and B, and these pawns are very, very, very strong, especially if you play c4 at some point, which is not like any theory or thematic. It's just maybe it's a good move. And if something like say, I don't know, just random, if the position was something like this, with this pawn structure, these pawns are so dangerous. You should not trade into an endgame. Definitely not. I mean, maybe if you can get one of these pawns back, then definitely, maybe you should go for it. But if he has these two connected passed pawns here, no way you should never go into an endgame. Especially not into a minor piece endgame, because these pawns are just rolling over your minor piece in any endgame, especially a knight. Now I thought we could look at the concrete lines of this opening. It's really not that hard. I'm just going to show you the general lines and ideas of this opening. Yeah, if he takes here, you could actually play d4 immediately. I know he played a3, but I think d4 is a bit more direct. It doesn't really make a difference because it's going to transpose anyways. Knight to c6, and now here you would play a3. If they accept here, now you can play c3 because this pawn at the end of the day isn't going anywhere. a6, just take, and now knight to b5. And as you can see here, white is definitely immediately creating some counterplay. Like this knight is coming in, maybe to d6, I don't know, bishop to d3. And here, white definitely has compensation for the pawn. Queen b8, now you sadly have to go back, but this queen is looking like an absolute bozo over here. And yeah, this here it's just equal. I mean, white has more space, therefore is a pawn down. But you have active piece play and maybe a promising attack ahead of you. So yeah, if you play a3 here immediately instead of d4, and if they accept, now you play d4. I mean, this is just we just saw this transposition. a6 here, and now c3, b5, knight takes e3, and this is one of the better lines here for black. A b4 here is actually not that good of a move, because you just traded everything, and now he's still a pawn up, but as you can see, this majority is gone now. This pawn could be weak. Like knight to b5 here, castles, bishop to d3, knight b to c6, and now knight d6, and now this knight is very strong. a5, and here it's again equal, but this knight is a monster, as you can see. White has more space and probably some promising lines here with the rook on the queen side. And I would rather have white here, definitely. From a practical standpoint, I would say white is definitely better. So let's look at this line here, a6. Instead, if they don't play knight c6, but they play a6 here, just a3. And if they play queen to a5, this was the point here. Bishop d3, you do not have to be scared of this check. Just bishop to d2. And here, you get kind of the same position. And you're just going to get this pawn back. And yeah, I mean, you have good play. I mean, look at these pieces. I mean, no pieces are out yet for black. And like, let's say knight to c6. And I mean, you're about to have like 4 pieces out. And this rook is always active because it's always on an open file. And yeah, you definitely have compensation. You're a bit better here because of the more space and active pieces, but they don't actually mean that much because black loves a pawn more and the computer likes material. But again, from a practical point of view, it's definitely okay. Like, black definitely has a lot of mistake potential here. Like, let's say b5 already is a huge mistake, forgetting that this rook is pinning this pawn here. Now I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.